Boy, I'm excited about this one here tonight. In prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all music and wrestling matters here, Sportswire Radio. We are back here for round two, and for good reason. Because this man, ladies and gentlemen, I think about wrestlers in the underground circuit. He might have had the most fascinating year. And I know that's saying something. We've had pretty much anybody and everybody that's in the underground. But this man's going to talk about that because this man doesn't come on Sportswire Radio often. And now that his 2025 year is complete, we can talk about it. We can also talk about what just happened. First, we know he's got his job back in ROW. And, well, for one, last night's guest, Johnny Velocity, in a quick strike of a response, said he's glad about that, which a couple of months ago, I don't think anybody would have agreed with that. Now, we're also going to talk about what happened in the IMF. I mean, almost a 2-year rivalry back and forth ended, and it ended in a handshake. And yeah, I'm sorry. And it all led from a conversation in August of 2024. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Thursday's guest coming on here, who we know can no longer compete in the ring. And this man's got plenty of history with him. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about his road back in ROW. We will talk about that year. And maybe the climb starts back for him in 2026 now. And yeah, you might want to say, to quote somebody here in the chat, you certainly have had a wild card of a year, but that's why you are certainly the Outlaw. And boy, I'm excited about this one. There is a lot to dive into. This man has had so many big matches, and it's my great honor to have him back on a platform that he helped build, because when I think about everything that this man has done, when you think about the last 3 years in the underground wrestling circuit, whether he wants to admit it or not, he might be that greatest underground champion, because the body of work, how many times he was a champion, how many times he traveled to defend his championships, and the men that he defeated. And one man in particular was like Bigfoot, I only saw, well, once and somewhere else, and we'll leave that at that. But it is now time to formally introduce this man, a man that you have certainly seen as one of the premier travelers in the underground wrestling circuit. And yes, we do have something for him. No, James Taylor is not coming on it, but I'm sure he'll talk about that too, because James Taylor had certainly an interesting response when it came to this man. And I'm not even going there. We want to keep the peace. We will certainly do that here and get this show off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one, the level radio station where all music and wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one cable sports show, a man that has 5 times been a world heavyweight champion, a man that is one of the greatest underground champions of this generation, a man that has wrestled in many companies and is now also a premier TikTok influencer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to formally introduce. His name is simply put now the Outlaw. Jason Storm! are we doing? And welcome home.
Tom, thank you for having me. As always, how the hell are you? That was probably one of the most interesting, the most exciting, and probably the best sports wire introductions I've ever had. Thank you for that. I'm glad to be
I
back.
appreciate that. No, listen.
Glad to be back home on Sportswire. It is good to see you, my friend.
It's great to be with you once again. It's been a minute. The last time you were here, I couldn't give you that introduction because obviously, it was what it was, and it's wrestling's an interesting thing the way things work. But it's been a minute, and it's great to see you here once again in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and I think there's a lot to talk about. But I'm going to start actually where you just wrestled in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at Iconics. And I want to talk about it because I think some people might have been rather confused about some of the things that went on afterwards, but you'll explain it and set the tables for us and what happened between you and Soldier GP, and then afterwards and in between an apology.
Yeah, so kind of kind of a weird year in wrestling for me I've had, and the Soldier GP feud has been kind of at the epicenter, and like I told him and like I told the crowd in Iowa, I'm tired of doing things the wrong way in wrestling. I've been hurting people. I've been undermining tactics, anything you can think of to put my name on top for almost 3 years, and I stole Soldier's dad's urn, and honestly, it was an internal struggle the whole time. I mean, I came on, I put my best poker face on, and played mind games with it, played mind games with Soldier, and tried to knock him off his A game. But at the end of the day, me and Soldier have a connection in regard of, his dad passed away a few years ago. My mom passed in 2020, and I just I started to think, what would my mom think of this? What
Mm.
and during the match, I had him set up for a concerto, could have took my shot, and I looked over and seen his mom, just the look on her face, and I'm like, I kind of seen it like my mom was sitting there, like how could I do this? And all those kids there to basically decapitate their hero right in front of their faces. I couldn't do it. I wanted to try to win the match the right way, and whatever happened after the match would have happened, but I guess with that little lapse of judgment, if you will, Soldier took the upper hand and he got the win. And more power to him, more respect to him. Soldier drove all the way from Iowa to Michigan to try to get his dad back.
You ran away from him. I mean,
He showed up on my. I mean, I haven't addressed Jacob Collins for giving him my address. I'm just gonna let
Well, he
that
was in
go.
a tough spot,
For sure, yeah, and I'm just gonna let that one go for sure. But yeah, I want to, and now that it's kind of the end of the year, 2026 is ahead of us. I want to do things the right way, and it seems like in all aspects, IMF, ROEW, is kind of a hard reset for Jason Storm. So here we are.
Well, I mean, I guess then I have to ask the question since you obviously made Soldier go through so much, and then it obviously ends with an apology, and then you had come out in the main event and such. I guess then you have any regrets about everything and the way it unfolded over these past several months between you and Soldier?
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of regrets, especially in particular, like I said, stealing his dad's urn, taking it back to Michigan with me. I think that in wrestling, there's a certain respect between competitors, and I definitely crossed the line with that. And I mean, if Soldier's watching again, I just want to apologize. I know I said what I said in Iowa, but I want him to know. Now that the adrenaline's worn off, I've had a couple weeks to think about it. My feelings are still the same. I took it a step too far in that regard. I made it more than personal. Um, so yeah, a lot of regrets there. Regrets with just some of the things I said about his family. I brought up his son Dominic, who is struggling with some
Well,
health
that's going to be
issues.
a topic, and that's going to be a topic the next, week on and off on Sportswire, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I looked his mom in the face multiple times and played with her emotions while obviously that whole family is grieving. Soldier's dad's lost still. I mean, that doesn't go away. It's always in the back of people's mind. I mean, my mom's been gone almost 6 years, and I still feel it all the time, particularly with the holiday season and stuff like that. So yeah, I think morally and professionally, I took it way too far, and I'd like to just apologize to him and his family again. Let them know, like, hey, going forward, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I'm gonna be, uh, I don't know what IMF management has for me coming up in 2026. I know I've been in talks trying to get some dates on the calendar, so we will figure that out. You'll see me sooner rather than later, I'm sure, back in
It's
Cedar
almost
Rapids,
over
Payless.
2025. The crazy thing is that it's almost over. So, I mean, I hope that we'll see you back out there in Cedar Rapids. I mean, it would be, certainly something we would love to see you back out there. We love seeing you compete anywhere.
Absolutely, and there's nothing like competing in front of that live crowd. I know IMF gets a lot of shit, if you will, a lot of heat, and whatever the case may be, but there's nothing like that crowd, whether, it's 20, whether it's 200, whatever the case may be. The IMF fans bring, like, top tier
You
energy
had some
and
fans
just
going after you, by the way. You had some fans
oh,
that were
yeah.
certainly saying a number of things during that match, and they were kind of confused afterwards. But you did apologize, and I mean, it's
I
one
guess
thing.
it remains to be seen, how they react to me when I show back up, and that'll be kinda the, uh the sign of if they accept my apology or not as well.
But you had said, one of the things that had happened there, what you had said during the show there was that you had a conversation back in August of last year with the IMF champion, the undisputed champion, Omen Black. And this is where it all kind of started. Is you mean to tell us that about that? And I mean, that certainly took a lot of people back. And that's when you turned your back on the foundation when you were there. That's the first time maybe we could trace some of this between you and Soldier at the time.
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone remembers, but in June of 2024, I beat Omen Black for the DKW championship at the
Yes.
time. I renamed it the Midwestern Champ. It got hairy, but I beat him for that, but in the process injured my shoulder, separated
Yes.
my shoulder. I was out for 2 months. Made my return to IMF in All Out Warfare, and uh, as soon as I showed up to the arena that night, I had Omen kind of stopped me and propositioned me, if you will, on just keeping things in a positive momentum for myself, for him, and for the House of Wolves. As it turned out to be at the time, it was Sinners versus Foundation, but
Yep.
that kind of devolved quickly after the fact. But for me, it kind of all started with sticking Soldier with that chair at the end of All Out Warfare, ultimately costing the Foundation the match against the Sinners. Um, yeah, and after that, I mean, I went on to form Natural Selection in Michigan, beat
The
Big Man
dominant
Cam.
run you had from late last year to right around this time of this summer. I mean, what you did with that group, I mean, it was just an unbelievable run.
Dominant for sure, and I would like to say that, or I'd like to think rather that I helped kind of put Alex Cross in the spotlight that nobody really
You made
thought
him a
he
world
deserved.
champion. Hey, he was a world champion there for a minute.
And even Cash Carter, C Money at the time, I mean, look where he's at now. And like I said before on Instagram, I have no ill will towards what he did when I returned to ROEW this year and took advantage to win the ROEW championship. I probably would have done the same thing. So I'm proud of Cash. I'm happy that whether he stayed in Natural Selection, whether he stayed under my wing or under my kind of umbrella or not, he's still seeing success in his own right. And it seems that he has a new attitude as well, which is good. But it kind of goes back to what I said that, what goes around comes around. Because it all started with Holden Holloway, actually, before he
Yes.
got injured.
Yeah.
Put the brass knuckles in the turnbuckle, and I was able to get the upper hand over Big Man Cam.
Yes, who basically was like Bigfoot. We've only seen a cameo from him since you had disposed of him around this time last year as the ROEW champion.
Yeah, and I think at the time, it was great. I was on top of the world, like I've said many a times. Natural selection, all three of us were holding gold. We were unstoppable, but some things behind the scenes and kind of played out on camera too got in the way of that. And yeah, what goes around comes around. Long story short, because now I don't have my group, I don't have my gold, and I'm kind of back to square one in terms of I didn't even know if I was going into 2026 with a job in Michigan in
Well, you
terms
had to
of
fight
wrestling.
very hard for that. You fought very hard for that. We're going to definitely talk about that. And I want to show the footage from what you did last in the IMF and obviously get everybody ready. And also, you talked about Dominic and Soldier's son and what happened there. And unfortunately, well, you had tried to help Soldier and such. And I know there's a lot of people here in the chat. So let's get right to it. I want to show some footage from your last match in the IMF and then certainly get into ROEW because there is a lot to get into. But before I do anything else, and I want to make sure I support the IMF because they're almost at 4,000 subscribers. So for whatever reason, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't be at this point, but you never know. If you have a friend or a family member out there that hasn't subscribed to the IMF YouTube page, go out there and get them to subscribe. Get them to support the IMF, and we would really want to see them get to 4,000 subs tonight. I mean, they're at 3.9. It could be 999. So go out there and have a family member subscribe, a friend subscribe. It is the holiday season, so make sure you support the IMF. And so many of our wrestlers here on Sportswire have wrestled in the IMF. So please support them. We'll have plenty of IMF talk tonight and throughout the next week or so. So let's go, obviously, to the tape from Dirty Deeds and your match. I'll speed it up a little bit because it's a long match and I kind of explain some of the things with you. So let's go here at the halfway mark and we'll get your perspective of where we are. And Soldier's definitely upset and just, talk to me about what's going through your mind here right now.
Well, first of all, I seen him coming around the ring post there, and I was exhausted, already beat up, and I'm like, "Come on, man, give me a break." A little bit before that, he gave me 4 vicious chair shots to the back, also. So I was already feeling the wrath of what I kind of put forth on Soldier, but yeah, it's kind of just like, man, let me catch my breath, and it's a last man standing match, so you can't stay down too long as well. So it was a lot going on at Iconic's Backyard Barbecue in Cedar Rapids that night, and just trying to, even though like my mindset was changing, and even throughout the match, I was feeling that way. You want to, as a competitor, get the win regardless. So I'm trying to come up with ways here. So I'm grabbing the chair right there. I'm trying to think of ways,
This is one
I
of my
can.
favorite parts of the match, by the way. I mean, where you guys basically challenged each other to a duel, a chair
Yeah,
duel.
I've never actually had a chair duel in a wrestling match, so this is kind of like an impromptu, you know. And boom, and then I'm going for a third shot, but he, thinks better of it and hits me in the stomach, the sternum, if you will. And yeah, I mean, I give credit where credit's due. He was outsmarting me in a lot of ways during this match. So I'm out there thinking like, let's hurt this man. Bring
Mm.
everything I got, hit him as hard as I can. Obviously, Soldier's a big dude. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, as they say. But he was using his wits and he was taking his time in giving me some punishment, probably some well-deserved punishment, as a lot of
Well,
people think. And
it's tough.
yeah, I mean, people think like, oh, wrestling's fake, but I mean, I'm out there like gasping for air, trying desperately to get back up, and he gives me
Well,
everything he
Soldier's got
can.
a leg injury. You last year had a shoulder injury. You have had back injuries in the past. I mean, you drive quite a bit to get to Cedar Rapids. So there's no
Oh yeah,
question that these injuries are real and wrestling, as I always say, it's real to me. I mean, I'm not in that business because the pain that you guys go through to do what you do, I mean, it speaks volumes.
yeah. I drove home with some pretty serious welts from from some kendo stick shots. So I'm the first one to tell anyone, wrestling is what it is, but it's fake is not the word to use in terms of wrestling, especially with weapons involved. You're gonna get beat up. You're gonna be hurt. It's just a matter of how much punishment you can take and how much you can dish back. In my opinion.
Look, and you certainly have done that. You have been one of those guys that has always been in these types of situations, and you give back. You definitely give back, but you've got, Soldier right where you want him at the moment in this last man standing match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there maybe playing a little bit too much with the ref, giving him time to get up. That probably wasn't smart. I probably should have just stayed on him, but I
Well,
had
I
that
mean, there is a
plan.
moment in the match. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, there is certainly a moment in the match that, I mean, you had an opportunity to really put the nail in the coffin, you might want to say, and you kind of relented. And I really am curious and when that moment comes, because one of the men, I got to give him a good pointer on that, and pointing that out was the Prophet Jordan Crowley, and he's here next Monday, and he's going to probably talk about that in the rest of the card at Winter Clash. And I just, to me, you had an opportunity to put the nail in the coffin of Soldier GPs, and you didn't, and we'll show that footage shortly, and just it was
Yeah, I'm
kind of
sure Crowley
uncharacteristic.
will come on and say I was weak and I wasn't meant for the House of Wolves or I wasn't meant to stand with them in black, but I have
Well,
my
you never really
reasons.
were formally in the Wolves. That was, I remember I had actually
No,
brought that up
definitely
during a
not,
previous
but
episode.
I would say definitely an associate when I'm out there in Iowa.
Yeah.
Definitely I was there to help them out a few times. Uh Definitely I wouldn't want to call it like, our truth in the judgment day, but Uh, I hung out in the locker room, if you will, the little clubhouse, the House of Wolves. Shared some drinks with those guys, shared some
Mm.
good laughs, but you know, in the end, it's just. And I'm a father too. Like I got two little kids, and they're starting to watch all this stuff too. And I don't want them to see me doing, you know, basically taking the easy way out. Like what kind of way to raise a child? Show them cheat, weasel your way into everything you can. You can be on top if you stab everyone you know in the back. That's not really the message I want to send to my children or any kids watching this for that matter. So
Yeah, is that something that weighed on you when you had this change of heart here in this match? Was that your kids, and how much now they're starting to understand wrestling, and you wanted to
definitely,
be.
my daughter's about to turn 2 in January, so a little over a month. And it's just she's starting to watch the matches intently, and she no to her I can do no wrong. I'm a superhero regardless. I'm Superman to her, but it's just like she's starting to form her own mind and her own opinion and start to understand like what's going on. She's starting to talk and all that. And some of the stuff I'm saying to people and the heinous ways I'm attacking people. I mean, I laid out countless people with concertos over the years. Uh, Wrapped a chair around Jacob Collins' neck and ran him into the post, just to name a few off the top of my head. And it's just, I don't want her to see that and be like, wow, I should do this. Like, she's going to go to school one day and what's she going to start throwing chairs and hitting people when their back is turned kind of deal?
Yeah, I understand it, but obviously, you right now, I mean, you're not thinking about it at the moment, and obviously, you've got Soldier where you want him.
Well, I mean, when you're out there, I mean, sometimes it is all bets are off. Well, no matter what side of the coin you're on, like I said, you also have to try to survive out there. So I would say, I'm hitting Soldier with everything I can. I'm hitting him with like a truck right now. Hit him with that boot, and yeah, I literally just sitting there thinking like, what else can I do to keep him down? Like you say, his leg injury is going on. I've had issues with my back and my shoulder, but that leg, it wasn't keeping him down. You know, uh, at Dirty Deeds. That's for sure. He definitely kept bringing everything he could, and he was whooping my ass to make it simple, I guess.
Well, I mean, you're obviously doing what you need to do. And this is where I really want to ask you just your mindset, where you had Soldier right where you wanted him. you could have, all you had to do instead of talking to the crowd here in Cedar Rapids and a big crowd, sold out crowd, and yet you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I mean, it's almost like you had a chance to pull the trigger and you were looking and then you stopped.
Yeah, like I said, I was over there screaming at his mom, saying I was gonna take her baby boy's head off, but when it came down to it, I know this is not the puppet master, the cyclone, the
Not
wild,
the guy
whatever
that
you want to
came on
call me.
here. I mean, you didn't even want to come on here for a period of time. You were basically like, you were in your own element. You were, I mean, I wouldn't want to say a word about you, or anyone would, because of what the mindset you were in. And yet you had that moment to put Soldier away and you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like winning the match, it was a mistake. Like I should have just pulled the trigger, but like I said, as a man and morals, like I would have seriously hurt Soldier had I hit that concerto on him. That's not it's not a safe or respectful maneuver in wrestling. That's like the ultimate form of disrespect and like, hey, I'm going to take you out permanently. And I've done it to so many others that were thankfully able to come back, but you never know that one shot you're going to give someone and they don't get up from. And I was just looking over at his mom, kind of the look on her face. I in my heart, like I said, I thought like, what if my mom was sitting in the crowd? What if the roles were reversed? How would I feel? And like I said, maybe a lapse in judgment in terms of competition. I didn't get the job done at the end of the day because I gave him time to recoup, and then he was able to spike my head into that chair at the end.
Well, I mean, listen, you had a chance to pull the trigger. You didn't, but I guess you had a change of heart. Maybe you have a conscience after all. I guess that's what I learned here. You have a conscience. The man that was one of the most ruthless and cunning champions. I had said it so much and so many times throughout 2025. You were one of the most dangerous and deadly champions we've ever seen here in the underground. But yet, here we are in one of your last matches of the year, and Jason Storm, he has a conscience. And as the puppet master, you pulled a string, and the string was that you weren't pulling that string because it was even for you too far, and it's what led to well, unfortunately, your demise. But you spoke, and this is what we've talked about throughout the first part of the show.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Sometimes you might not get your hand raised at the end of the day, but in your heart, sometimes you still feel a victory, and I feel like Soldier had a big part in it. I had a part in it as well, but the puppet master persona kind of took over me for so long, and it was like it was kind of finally extinguished that night. He was able to put the nail in the coffin on the puppet master and just kind of the sadistic ways that I was following. And not to say in 2026 I'm not going to bring the same intensity, the same energy in the ring, but I don't want to stab people in the back. I don't want to hit people while they're not looking. I don't want to jump people with, anyone I can think of, get the numbers game on them. I want to do things the right way. And if I'm to win gold in 2026, you can bet that it's going to be by my own hand, fair as can be, clean as a whistle. I know before I've said all my wins were as clean as could be, but if you go back and watch every title match, every title defense I had, some way I cheated or weaseled my way into the victory. And again, like my kids watch that stuff and they're gonna think, okay, I can go cheat on my homework at school. I can cheat on this test. I can just stab people in the back. I can be a bully. Like that's not the message I want to send to not only my kids but everybody watching. Soldier had his kids in the crowd,
Yes.
his mom in the crowd.
The fans love
So
Soldier there. I mean, there was a lot of people cheering for him,
yeah,
understandably so. And,
they
and his
do.
mom hosts every show.
I'll say this: anyone wanting to feud with Soldier GP and IMF, get ready to be called every name in the damn book.
I know
Man, do
people
I get
sometimes don't believe it. It's one of those things
oh
where,
man.
you go and watch these shows and even on YouTube, I mean, he's got a lot of support there. I mean, there's no question that the fans are behind him, and whether it's family, whether it's, Camo Cam, who certainly was giving it back to you a bit. I see Jade here, who certainly, has said some things about you in the past. There's a lot of people out there.
Flipped me off more times than I can count.
I saw the middle fingers. I'm like, okay. I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, obviously, look, there's a lot of people out there, and they're behind Soldier. But you were a man, and I think it takes a lot to do what you did. It takes a lot to do what you did, and I think that earns a lot of respect. And I think Soldier's mom definitely respected you for that, and I think Soldier did as well. And obviously, you can't change the past; you can only go forward. But I think at the end of the day, you're gonna earn whatever you get in 2026 because you're gonna do it a different way, and I think it's gonna be for the right reasons this time in the IMF.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a lot to kind of look forward to with a fresh attitude, fresh face. I know a lot of people aren't going to be as trusting, which is kind of the inspiration for the Outlaw name, because for so long I've been one of the underground or professional wrestling's most wanted men in terms of everybody wanted to see my head on a stake.
You have been a wild card, a puppet master. Yeah, you've been a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, they can say like, oh, it's the same gimmick, it's going to be the same thing, but when you're literally probably one of the most sought after, the most wanted people to get in the ring with, and ultimately so many people wanted to hurt me and shut me up, it's kind of a fitting thing. And I'm going to do things my way now, kind of like an outlaw would, just kind of take matters into my own hands, walk alone, if you will, whatever the case may be. But one thing's for sure, I'm coming back for redemption in IMF, like I promised the crowd. And in terms of my home in Michigan here, there's a lot of stuff that.
Well, we're going to talk about that on the other side of the chat. We're going to definitely get into that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll save that. But I mean, everybody knows. They've all seen the journey this year, and like I said, hard reset is a good word, but there's a lot that I have to prove in terms of that I can do this on my own. I can do it without cheating.
I mean, listen, but it's by any means necessary in this sport. I mean, listen, I know some of the tactics we didn't always agree with, but look, you've been on top. You're a 5-time world champion. I mean, it doesn't matter how you got where you did.
That's true. I mean, the accolades speak for themselves. 5-time world champion, OMW US champion, just to name a few off the top of my head. DKW,
ROEW multiple times. I mean, you've done a lot.
Longest reigning champion in ROEW twice.
I would say it doesn't happen. The men you've beaten, that's the thing. Jack Delta multiple times, CJ Black. I mean, you've beaten now Matthew Forsaken. You've beaten Omen Black in the past. I mean, you've beaten Big Man Cam. You ran him out of town practically. I mean, you look at the list of people that you've defeated in your career. I mean, that's to me what speaks volumes. So I understand. Listen, I think everybody wants to see you do well, but you did what you had to do, and it's by any means necessary in this sport,
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. And there were a lot of names, that stepped up, a lot of big names that people were rooting for that I walked away with the W. And if the record books show, I beat CJ Black multiple times, Jack Delta, like you said, Big Man Cam. Nothing can change that. Regardless of how I did it, the accolades speak for themselves. And, some people may not agree, which I'm sure we'll get into, but wrestling Jason Storm in 2025 and in 2026 isn't wrestling the kid that walked into CJ Black's backyard with the long stringy hair and the red Pumas, and it's a whole different ball game now. I know my way around, a ring and a set of ropes. I dare anybody in 2026, long story short, to step to me and see what happens, because regardless of the new attitude, I'm coming with the same intensity, and I'm going to hit just as hard as I did.
I have no doubt that you will. But, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about the IMF. And before we get into the chat in ROW, because you did try to come out and try to stop this from happening. And obviously, this is what I'm sure you know is coming next, and that was the conclusion of Dirty Deeds, where Soldier was back out there, and Soldier was able to do his job, and he had counted obviously, and he had made that count. And Omen Black there is the IMF undisputed champion, and that's not so much what I'm asking you about, because well, that's I'm sure going to be something that we'll talk about throughout the week of Sportswire. But what happens eventually here in a few minutes, and I was curious on what your thoughts was, because even you, despite what you had went through at Dirty Deeds earlier in the show, had tried to come out from this. And what was your feelings about what happened here in this end of the main event, and what eventually happens to, well, Soldier GP's son, Dominic?
First of all, I think the House of Wolves and their tactics are just absolutely disgusting. And despite anything that I went through earlier in the night, I was kind of dealing with a little bit of an arm injury after Saul just stomped my arm in a chair. But be that as it may, I mean, the numbers game, we've seen it time and time again in wrestling, and Soldier wasn't even involved in this match. He
You were
was
a
a
part of it. You
referee.
just mentioned it yourself. You had natural selection. You were a
Exactly.
big part.
I've
Yep.
I've been on the other side of the coin and just seeing this backstage.
And there you are. You're
Here
coming
I
out.
come.
Coming out.
I I wanted to, and I didn't get very far with it, but I wanted the House of Wolves to know that what I said earlier in the show wasn't a joke. It wasn't, it wasn't another trick up my sleeve in terms of like the puppet master, if you will. I wanted them to know that no matter what, I was gonna stick to my word, and I tried the best I could to help Soldier. But uh, earlier match caught up with me, numbers game caught up with me as well. But yeah, everything that happens, the rock stars of the galaxy with fucking jokes now. But excuse my language, but
No, it's
yeah,
okay. Well, I understand the frustration, and because of what happened, and you explained your side of the story. You had tried your best to come out there, but yeah, the House of Wolves, they are a House of Wolves,
it
and that's
seems,
why.
yeah, they had their own plan, which I can show respect to, but I think uh, I mentioned before in terms of stealing Soldier's dad's urn. Sometimes wrestling is about wrestling, and sometimes we take it a bit too far. I think what plays out on screen here is just a little bit too far. Uh, Especially in particular, like you said, what happens with Soldier's son that it looks like we'll see here in a minute. But I'm
Yeah.
just disgusted. I almost can't even watch this again. But at the end of the day,
I
what
know.
happened
Well, I know
happened,
it's
and
very, very, and we don't certainly want to condone this, and especially how it happens to Dominic. And I mean, obviously, it's something. If you are out there, please don't get any ideas. And certainly an unfortunate thing. And Jason Storm had a front row seat to this, and obviously Soldier. I know it's certainly breaking him up to see this. And obviously just terrible, terrible the way things are. But listen, it's what it is, and you only learn from the future. And I know that in the I Quit match coming up between Soldier and Omen, which we'll be talking a lot about here over the next week and a half plus, I'm sure there will certainly be plenty of reactions between Foundation members, House of Wolves members, and other members out there. And yes, thank you, Ox McCoy, for telling us viewer discretion is advised. And yeah, it's viewer discretion is advised. And I'm not, the reason I'm letting you stay with this, because the man that you had wrestled previously in ROEW is about to do something to Dominic, and you have wrestled him, and that's where it just becomes even more bizarre out there and such. And I mean, you talked about your kids and how much they mean to you, and yet Soldier's witnessing his own son, Felix Jones, the Prince of Professional Wrestling, the PWF champion, a darling, a rising star, by all means, an absolute rising star out there in this circuit, do what he's about to do to his own brother, who's, famously dealt with heart issues and other health problems. And just so, this is where it just, to me, as a father, I know this is tough for you.
oh yeah, and I'll say this about Felix. The kid has a lot of talent. He beat me in ROEW. He beat me fair. I'm not gonna say, he caught me with a wicked Cody cutter. whatever you want to call it, but he has a future in this business, but right now he's very misguided and very just he's lost in terms of
Yeah.
he's doing Omen Black's bidding, he's doing the House of Wolves bidding. And yeah, he's PWF champion. He's a great world champion, but if he wants to see his true potential play out in this business, he's got to stray away from this. He's got to blaze his own path. He's got to take matters into his own hands sooner rather than later. And I hope that Felix one day wakes up and realizes, certain things you do to family, certain things you do to
Yeah, I
other
mean, this is
people.
just, listen, I don't even want to get into this because you've got
It's
Soldier's wife
disgusting. I
there.
mean,
It's Soldier's wife is
it's
there.
disgusting.
I mean, Omen's the uncle technically, and I mean, you got Felix there grabbing Dominic the way he did. I mean, it's obviously something that we certainly don't wish
And
any family to go through.
Dominic had heart surgery,
Yes,
just a few months ago. It's not
yeah,
like
like
it
2 months
was.
ago. About two
It's not
months
like it
ago.
was some years. This was fresh. Like this is disgusting in my opinion. This is
Yeah.
just. And some things, like I
And
say,
Soldier's
you can
wife
do.
is going through some health issues too. I know. I mean, that's why this family can't get any breaks. Obviously, Soldier's father not too long ago, and then this. Here we go. Just obviously, yeah. We'll take this off the screen now because obviously, yeah. It's just I wanted to get your reaction. Maybe you are onto something about why you want to do things the right way because this is just. I mean, I would wish this on no family. Not that I'm
Some
getting
things
involved.
in life, not even in wrestling, this just pertains to everyday life. Some things you do, you can't take back. You can't come back from. And
Yeah.
I personally believe Felix is going to have a long ways to go if he ever decides that he wants his brother's forgiveness, if he wants his dad's forgiveness, his mom, all that.
I'm not going there at this point. And we know Felix's family situation has been very complicated for a long time here. I mean, we've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
He's had different fathers, different uncles. I mean, I'm not even going there at this point.
He's the Dom Mysterio of IMR for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining about Dom Mysterio tonight, but yeah,
Start
obviously, look,
calling
it
him
is.
Dirty Felix Jones or something.
But you know what? I guess before we get to the chat, look, it's worked for Felix, and he's got championship gold, and he's become a guy that has become a rising star. But you say eventually, though, this will catch up to him. It'll catch up to him.
Yeah, it's working now, but I mean, and the same for Omen. It always catches up in the end. It's only a matter of time before the house runs out of tricks. Omen, once Omen loses that IMF World Championship, the house is just bound to crumble because you're only as strong as your leader. And once he kind of falls victim to everything that he's been dishing out, everyone else in the house is going to realize, and I've seen this with my own groups, with BYW, Natural Selection, the list goes on. What goes around comes around, and I just want to warn Felix more so than Omen, because Omen's a grown man, probably older than me. He can make his own decisions. He can do.
He will make his own decisions, and it's his platform, and he's here in the chat. He's here. He's here, so he'll certainly have his opinions. And
I just hope Felix realizes one day, like, hey, maybe hopefully Felix is watching too, and he can realize that he needs to, like I said, do things for himself, grow up and become a man, and realize that he needs to have morals behind him. And he has plenty of talent. He has plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
plenty of in-ring agility to do things and do the same things on the lighter side of things. He beat me clean as a whistle in ROEW, and that speaks volumes for what he can do. He doesn't need to cheat. He doesn't need people behind him. But
yeah, I mean, he's the PWF
time and time
champion.
Again.
I mean, he's been very impressive. He's defeated Anthony Steele. He's defeated you. I mean, he's defeated an individual, Justin Parsley, who was the PWF champion. I mean, he's had an amazing run. He took Omen to the limit. People forget about that. I mean, this guy's done a lot of great things. CJ Black, obviously, we know what he's done with CJ in the ring. I mean, this guy has done a lot of great things. He was just out there with Gabe Sayers in the ring. I mean, Felix Jones has beaten Sean Jovi. I mean, there's a guy that's beaten a lot of guys. So I'm
not
here
to steal Sheamus's gimmick, another ginger, but banger after banger.
Yeah,
after
banger I always say it. Felix Jones, to me, Ace Christian's on his way now in the Indies, and we know Felix and Ace have a little bit of history briefly in the IMF, and I think Felix will be where Ace is right now in the Indies in a year or
No
so.
doubt.
So
No
I
doubt.
think that's he'll be there. I think he's just
That's the good thing about being so young. I wish I would have Felix because he has so many years of being in his prime, being in peak physical shape. The sky's the limit for Felix Jones, and I'm regardless of if I love him or hate him right now, I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be seeing what he's doing, and from a fan perspective, I do enjoy his work, and it was probably one of my highlight matches this year to wrestle Felix Jones. So I will say, although the kid has a terrible attitude, thank you for the match we had, and hopefully we get to do it one day again.
You know what? We'll certainly find out, and let's get to everybody here in the chat. Plus, I want to give you something and get to ROEW on the other side of the chat because we don't have you often here on Sportswire. We have the Outlaw Jason Storm. We're recapping his 2025, and he's looking to get 2026 off to a good foot, and I think he'll do that here and some. But let's get to the chat. Thank you, Zilla, for being here once again. Zilla was here earlier. We had on AJ Harrison. Yeah, Zilla loves Cash Carter. She still loves Cash Carter. So, well, speaking of people that you definitely have shared a locker room with a few times, the enforcer of Sports by Radio, Mr. Ox McCoy. Thank you, Ox. And another man that's glad, which we're going to be talking about in a lot here coming up, is glad you're back in ROEW, Mr. Quick Strike Johnny Velocity. He's very happy to see you back, and he's very happy to see you here on Sports. While we are all happy to see you here. Our friend in the EWA wanted to say hello. Thank you, Hubie. Hubie was here last night, and the guys will be back here next Saturday night in your chair. We'll be talking about No Boundaries. Thank you for that. And I'm excited for this one. Are you excited, Johnny? Yeah, I think we're excited because we got a lot of people in the chat. Yeah. Thank you, Ox, for that comment. We really appreciate that. I'm sure that that'll be one we'll make sure to remember and comment of the year. You really have had a wild year. I mean, your year is just, I always think, I continue to say it, you have had one of the most interesting careers in the underground the last 3 years because the amount of championships, the amount of big matches you've been in, the amount of wins you've had, the amount of places you've traveled. I mean, you have had such a wild career, literally, and we're happy to have you
Yeah.
back.
I'll say this real quick. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I got started late in the game in terms of, I'm 28, going on 29 next year, and yeah,
Oh,
I'm just trying to make the most of the time I have
well,
in the
speaking of
underground or
which, you
professional scene.
say that you started late in the game, but I think I want to get it out of the way now because we got a lot to talk about. And there was this guy that was here Thursday, and his name was James Taylor, obviously a man you have a lot of history with here on this platform. And I understand. I'm really trying to keep it positive these days, and we have really done a good job with that. I mean, I know there's been different things here and there. I even heard, somebody gave me a message before earlier about something, and I'm like, I got no idea, and I got no time for it. But James Taylor had certainly said a few things about you, and he's continuing his career. He's now doing that in Mississippi, but I guess he left the door open between you and him. I guess things are okay, but I guess I'm going to have to ask you, what did you think of what the Tyrant King, James Taylor, an old nemesis of yours over the past few years, had to say about you, nevertheless?
I'll say this, and I don't want to get too disrespectful towards James as a person because, behind the scenes, up until what he said on your show, which, I mean, spoiler alert, it surprised me. Honestly, it disappointed me a lot to hear what he had to say. I know he comes on here and spews, he's in character, he's out of character, whatever it is. But long story short, he mentioned, uh, putting someone over and this and that. So I'm going to assume what he said was not in character, and I'm going to roll with that. I tried to address him privately before I came on here because I wanted to honestly avoid mentioning this and bringing it
Right.
up. But he said what he had to say to me privately, and I let him know my thoughts, and he never responded. So I'm going to respond to him here and just let him know I'm disappointed. I've been a fan of James's. I've supported him while everybody else has said he has a negative attitude. He's had his issues with TBW, Revolution, IMF, and aside from all of that, I still wanted to work a match with James. Wanted to work a program. Since my very first Sportswire appearance,
Yep.
I've been going back and forth with him. He's interrupted every Sportswire appearance I've had for the last year and a
Two and a
half.
half. Yeah,
So
a year and a half.
literally every time I'm on here, I don't escape without James Taylor coming on.
Yeah.
And people have said that he tries to steal the spotlight, and he's in it for himself. He's all this, and I still gave the man the benefit of the doubt. And on Thursday, he showed to me that maybe what everyone has been saying for the last few years is true. And disappointed on what he had to say. He talks ill on IMF, and he doesn't mention it by name, but he's talking about IMF and Soldier GP all the time, and the people behind IMF when he says people put world championships on themselves or put themselves in world championship matches, and he's above that now. But on the other side of the coin, if you're an indie wrestler and you sign yourself exclusively to one indie, that's kind of a bad business move, James. So I don't know what you're thinking there, but that's kind of stupid, straight up. And from my experience in IMF, and I've worked with IMF, let's break the fourth wall. I opened the first live event for IMF. I was
Yes,
in the
what a question. Yeah.
very first match in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
So, say what you want about IMF, what you want about Soldier GP, or anyone else behind the scenes. I'm not going to drag everyone's
Right. I
name
got
out and
you. I
expose
got you. I
everyone. But
appreciate that.
what I will say is, in this business and in wrestling, all your experiences are what you make of them, and you can make uh, basically it is what you make it. Last year in my home fed ROEW, I had maybe 4 to 5 matches that were relevant, and I did comedy skits the whole year to stay relevant. Uh, if the booking isn't to your liking, or what the promoter has for you isn't the best idea per se, you can still turn that into gold. You can still turn that into watchable content, and you can still make yourself one of the biggest stars on the show out of that. And I think uh, a lot of the opinions that people have on James, it's hard to say they're wrong right now. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I
I
got that.
think
I understand. Look, I understand. Look, it's a situation. It is what it is, and I'm with you. I
it
don't want
seems
to
to
get in the
me,
middle of it.
I'll say this too, and I don't want to put you in the middle, so I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not trying
Yeah.
to shoot too hard on James or
I
whatever.
got
But
that.
what I
Listen,
will
you
say
have the right
is
to say what you
he
feel.
has this indie promotion opportunity, and he's big leaguing everybody now. He's saying he's done with this, done with that, because he didn't like what BYCW had for him. He didn't like what TBW had for him. He didn't like what ROEW had for him. And he said that I gave him shit for not showing up, which I did. But I gave JX shit. I give Jacob Collins shit. I give everybody shit. That's just my personality behind the scenes. I like to have fun. Me and Omen bullshit and make fun of each other almost daily in the chats and in person when I go out to Iowa. It is what it is. And if you can't hang with that, I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I'm disappointed that you came on this platform and said what you said after telling me it was due to financial issues behind the scenes. I'll air that out and I'll leave it at that. And if James wants to contact me and squash it, that is fine. But I feel disrespected and I'm disappointed in what he had to say.
Look, I hope it works out. And I obviously look. I mean, we want to keep it. I know right now that there's always drama out there. Aaron Blaze and Comatose seem to have some of that, and I hear from different people that I'm sort of in that, and they're not going to go anywhere
Well,
with
I'll
that.
say this.
Yeah.
I'll say this. This is the last point I'm making. It's not even necessarily towards James, but everybody with the drama in this community. I've never once had a drama situation pop up in terms of wrestling or booking. And even when all that stuff came to light last year, where a couple
Yeah.
feds shut down and went into hiding, if you will, or went under a different umbrella and still tried to
Yeah.
stay relevant, I didn't. I didn't get into the forefront of any drama. And you know you'll hear opinions about these people, and they'll try to defend themselves to everyone when they go to different places. I'm not going to name any names, but during a certain storyline where I didn't work for ROEW for 2 months, a lot of people talk shit behind my back. a lot of people went to the promoter and said shitty things that I know about, and you all know who you are, but you guys, you feed off of the drama, you feed off of the attention, and you make the community toxic at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
no, and I'm with you on that. And that's where we've really
Wrestling is
tried to
supposed
move
to be
away from that. Yeah,
community.
I
It
agree
is
with you on
supposed to
that.
be community, but 2025 made me realize that this always isn't a community, and it's always a lot of, who can be the next big thing, who can be, top dog in every promotion. You're not always going to win the world title in every promotion. I've
Yeah.
been in IMF for 3 years, and I haven't been in an IMF World Championship match. I haven't bitched to anyone in IMF about not being in a World Championship match. I show up, I travel every time, and I make the most out of what I'm putting forth, because a lot of these storylines, I'm putting a lot of effort in. When I'm sitting at my real job Monday through Friday, I'm constantly thinking, how can I make these storylines better? How can I make these companies better? How can I make myself better? How can I make all this entertaining? How can I make people want to watch Jason Storm?
Absolutely.
And instead of bad mouthing everyone and talking shit and having all this drama, you need to start doing that and having respect for everybody, because behind the scenes, I have no ill will towards anyone, but I will say I've heard a lot of things about me that I'm kind of shocked, if you will, from
I
certain
understand.
people.
I understand
And
that.
people have literally badmouthed me and then asked me to show up in their promotions, thinking I don't know what was said. It's goofy, and I'm not going to address these people. I'm not going
No,
to let them know,
and
like, hey,
I want to say that's big of you because I know once upon a time people would have expected this to be heard here, but that's out the door. We want positivity. And thank you for being big on that because I know that people want to hear that stuff, but we're not about that. We don't want that at this. But we want people. We want to be. I'm with you on the community. We
not only
want to
for
be
your
together.
platform, Tom, but for the sake of, setting an example of positivity in wrestling and in this community. You got to take the high road sometimes. I
Yeah,
could
that's
have
it. Listen, I'm
I could
with
have
you,
started
man.
plenty of shit with plenty of people, but at the end of the day, it speaks volumes to who they are as people behind the wrestling character. And these people have a list, a track record, if you will, a mile long in these promotions, in these federations, all in different states. And I've always given these people the benefit of the doubt, and their true colors show in the end. And that's all I can say on it.
Listen, it is what it is, but I'm with you. We got to move forward. And ultimately, at the end of the day, there's a lot of other people that want to be, going to different places. And we need, like you said, community. Thank you for saying that because, we have to move on from that. Last year was what it was. And unfortunately, that did, do a lot. And it definitely divided I think, the underground community and the backyard community. But, look, we have to move on and, we can't live in the past. And it was what it was. I'm with you. The dramas, it's out the door. The minute you're here, the minute you're in your fed, you gotta forget about it. You gotta move on, and that's all you can do.
Not only that, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is underground, backyard wrestling, or indie. IMF's an upcoming indie, and they're
Yeah.
growing and all that. But you're not in the WWE. You're not. You're arguing over a world championship, but it's not. You're not arguing over the WWE championship. You're not arguing over the TNA championship
No,
even.
exactly.
So
Listen,
you kind of just look stupid at the end of the day. Like,
you just gotta
I
forget
get
about it. Listen, I
I
mean,
get protecting your character and protecting your investments, because I do the same. And if an idea is stupid and I think it's stupid, I'll voice that opinion. But at the end of the day, if what I want isn't, what happens, I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to do my job that I made a commitment to IMF. I made a commitment to ROEW. And I walked off of ROEW behind the scenes or as a storyline, but at the end of the day, like I put up in so much work for these places. I put in so much work for the Jason Storm character. Uh, it's goofy because if you want to make it to WWE, if you want to make it to TNA, AEW, whatever it
we
is,
had Raven on yesterday. We want to, show that
exactly.
as an example. We want to keep these people on. We want to keep the rock stars coming on. So the best way we can do that is by showing examples. Thank you for doing
The
that because I
way,
have been doing my best the last year really to do that. Or you see very little of that this year. I mean, that's one
yeah, I mean,
positive. I would like to point out.
A lot of these guys have to like really check their attitudes if they plan on going to these places or they plan on making an actual career and a living off of
We've
this
had some
because
guys, from the circuit that, have done that. This guy, Mickey Vargas, has done that in Texas. You have, D Savage has done a nice job doing that. Jake Dvorak's on his way. I mean, there's D'Angelo
shout out
Lafreniere.
to Jake, honestly. Shout out to
Yes,
Jake Dvorak.
absolutely. No, listen.
No disrespect to the others, but Jake has been a huge supporter of mine and pushing a lot of
Yes.
my TikTok and helping me behind the
He's been helping a
scenes.
lot of
Shout
guys
out
out
to
there. I
him.
feel bad I haven't had him on lately, but we like to
That is
definitely
one of
get
the
him on
most.
anytime.
I
He's
haven't
always
met him in person yet, but the one day, one day I
He's
will.
wrestling
And
a guy that I know very well, Eric X Black, and he raves
yeah,
about him. So we want to really push
I have
that.
high praise for Jake, and he's a
Absolutely.
solid dude.
He is. No, no, there's a lot of
More
guys
people need to
that,
be like Jake Dvorak. I'll say
well, we
that, and
want
I'll
to
leave
get
it at
those
that.
guys, and those are good examples. Thank you for pointing out guys that have been here in the underground, but that have moved on, or they're in the process of moving on. And let's move on to some more comments. Thank you. Yes, I did breathe into that. It's the second time I've done it today. Hello there to everybody. Thank you. DJ Storm, the man that Johnny Velocity beat 2 weeks ago, would like to say, "Was up, Storm?" But we're not related. Thank you for that. The man that's going to be on
Hello,
here
Storm.
Wednesday night, his time in the afternoon, the Tribal Cheese. Speaking of YouTube stars
The
and
Tribal
TikTok influencers,
Cheese.
yes, he'll be here, and he probably loves what you had to say. But we'll move that one and sending positive vibes from Romania. He'll be back here in the UK, and yes, definitely need positive vibes. I had a friend of mine, unfortunately, I don't even want to say how he died. Unfortunately, this afternoon, it's I don't even want to say it. I mean,
I'm
maybe
sorry
I'll
to
tell
hear
you.
that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to hear
somebody
that. Yeah.
actually that's been a part of my internet radio station for 4 years, and I heard how they died today, and it's I mean I'm surprised I haven't broken up. I talked about it earlier in the day, and guy Jared Justice just had a baby. He has a beautiful wife, and unfortunately I don't even want to get into it on the air. But please keep his family in thoughts and
Such a
prayers.
shame, honestly.
Young guy,
You
241,
know,
just
prayers to his
horrible.
family, genuinely.
Yes, please. And he was a big loved Sportswire. Always talked to me. And I just with his birthday was last week, and I just wished him. I gave him a long post on Facebook. Happy birthday. I mean, just really like I don't. I'm really broken up about it, to tell you the truth. But we'll move on. Thank you. Jade is here. Middle finger not in hand. There
Let's
you go. And
go.
speaking of people that would like to say hello, that's Carlos Jackson, who was a topic yesterday on the show. We're very excited for the Tribal Cheese, 3:00 Eastern time. And yes, and then I told you Omen would be here, and he did want to call you a traitor. Just saying. I mean, we have a lot of people who want to talk tonight.
Of course, I mean, he has his opinions. I have mine. I'll say that. But I mean, at
You
the
know,
end of the day, what goes around comes around.
You know what? Well, we're going to be talking a lot about him in the next week and a half. I mean, the prophet Jordan Crowley is going to be here, and he's going to have plenty to say. He's here next Monday, and the IMF gang is here right before Winter Class. Sean Jovi was just here. He's had some would say, change in attitude. I mean, Tone DeBoss is nearing once again the return. I mean, a lot of people you'll see again here. Speaking of people that I think do like you now, Drago, the IMF United States champion, said he would not miss this stream. Yeah, definitely. It's always must-see TV when you're on Sportswire, that's for sure. And the views are up.
Appreciate it, Drago.
You're
Thank
here.
you for
That's
the
why. Well, you
support,
don't
my
come on
man.
here often. You come on when you want to come on and hit the sub button for the IMF. And what is the Outlaw's thoughts? Well, this was a big topic last year, but obviously it's a new year. But what is your thoughts on pizza consumption? We can move on. We have a lot of
I enjoy pizza. I'll say that. I've come around to pizza. I call it salad on the weekends, especially since I'm trying to get healthy and trying to work out.
Well, you've
I
been
don't
doing a
eat
great
as
job
much.
of working out. You're getting yourself into shape, and one of the things you did say was that you really want to get yourself into the best shape of your life. I mean, that's a really important moral of the story there.
I do, and part of it is actually giving up one of my behind the scenes true loves, pizza, especially Detroit style out here.
Your
But
style's very good, by the way, very good.
man, sometimes you just gotta have that cheat day, and pizza is one of my go-tos. So I will say I endorse pizza.
Well, you know what? I'm sure there's a lot of people that would agree with you, but you have a TikTok page I actually want to endorse because you do need more followers, and Jake is onto something, but you need to catch up to Jake in the following department. So we like to
I've
do that
definitely
here for
fallen
you.
off on posting a little bit, but more to come on TikTok about that. I'll address that on TikTok probably in the next
You'll
few
handle that.
days.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Yeah.
will. It's the holidays. Don't
It's
worry
just a
about it.
lot of work, and I've been working a lot of overtime too, like behind the scenes at my real job to, keep
Sure.
my family in good standing. So it is a
You
lot of
have a
work to do
family,
both.
and some of us like yours truly don't. And now I can pick up the slack. Whereas in political season, I can't do as much, but now I can. But let's get to some more people here in the chat. We'll keep the
Yeah.
Instagram up. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And hello, hello. Thank you, Drago, for that. And hello to Il Drago. Yep, we got a lot of Il Drago hellos, but we want to say yes. Liv Morgan's back. We're happy about that. I can think of a couple of title matches you weaseled out of your way, and you still haven't pinned one person, ROEW, who's glad to see you back, by the way, just saying. But
Well,
we're going
hey,
to talk about
now
that in a few
now
minutes.
that I have a fresh attitude, maybe I can see what this Johnny Velocity character is all about. I know I've wrestled Dark Crowd in the past, but it seems like he's got a little bit more of a velocity and intensity
Yeah,
to him.
I like it.
Johnny Velocity, as they would say. So
I like it. I
I'm
really like
excited
it.
to see what next year has, and he has something around his waist that I've never held, and it's only a matter of time before we kind of stand across the ring and hopefully shake hands for a prestige title match.
You know what? I mean, he did talk about that. He wants the ROEW championship. You'd like it back, and you may both be on a crash collision course to each other for 2026. And the House of Wolves have went way too far. Viewer discretion is advised. Yes, believe me, I'm well aware of it. And speaking of people though that are here and wanted to say something, the Hall of Fame monitor of Sportswire Radio, Justin Parsley, looking for the calm before the storm, but seeing storm is already on the stream. Obviously Justin Parsley, a man. I'm not sure what his situation is in the wrestling world, but did want to
Well, I'll
chunk
just say
in.
this, I try to be punctual, Parsley. I don't want to make people wait too long, but man, whatever you got going on. I know we saw each other briefly recently, and I
Nice.
all support to Parsley, all support to his family. He's got
Yeah,
kids like I do, and Parsley is such a good dude.
yeah,
He's helped me a lot in terms of especially when you first start traveling. And I didn't work in the company that Parsley worked for at the time, but he had
yeah,
I worked for his sister company, if you will,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just nothing but love and support from Parsley from day one since I met him, and that only continues in IMF behind the scenes. Such a good dude. He's helped me so much, and I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for his family, and just you know his continued success at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, we just want to see everybody happy, and I don't know what the future is of Justin Parsley's, but we welcome him on the stream anytime, and I'm sure one day we'll see him back on Sportswire. But we certainly miss seeing him out there in the ring. But who knows what the future is? But we'll have to see. Time will tell, I suppose. And yes, hello to Justin Parsley and Gavel Payne, a man that will certainly be a part of I'm sure Monday's show. Definitely next Monday on December 8th when Jordan Crowley is here. I want to say IMF, 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 and reminds me of the TikTok Mr. Wick reference. And Hazella reminds me of somebody. Also, she said that she didn't know about this stuff about James Hill. Yeah, I mean, listen, we just want to hope for the best. And obviously, we hoped, everything's good with James and you. And that's all. That's all.
Yeah, I'm sure people were expecting me to come on here and I probably did a little bit. I did shoot on him a little bit, and
Eh,
I don't want to say I'm not gonna throw insults at the guy, but what I will say is you get one opportunity, and just don't forget where you came from. Don't big league nobody. I get it. You don't want to be underground or backyard or whatever, but at the end of the day, I put a lot of effort into the James Taylor stuff with me and him,
yeah,
and
you and him. I
going
mean, you had
forward
some memorable moments here on Sportswire. Memorable moments.
until I hear something positive from him or something, something more so from his end, I would like to just wipe my hands clean from. I'm not gonna say I never want to work with James, but as of right now, I'm not gonna put any effort into promoting a James Taylor match between me and
Yeah.
him. I'm not gonna promote any feud, or I'm not gonna argue with him on the internet. It is what it is. It was kind of like a waste of time in my opinion
No, I'm
because
with you. Look,
yeah,
you know what? It's
the
what it
guy.
is.
What I will say is, he set 2 dates and he waited to the last minute both times to cancel. And I think, it is what it is. You got to do what's best for your family and business, like you said. But if we're talking, real business, that's not good business. So
Yeah, look,
I'll
he
say that.
says listen, he's an OCW, like you said, he's there, and that's where he's going to be wrestling, and that's just the gist of it. But yeah, I'm with you. We'll move on. And I heard the Cleveland Wrecking Crew was wondering about you. Well, they can continue to wonder, I guess, because you'll certainly figure that out when the time comes. And
Yeah,
Gavel Payne
I'm
seems to
sure.
be maybe addressing you, Gavel Payne. We'll go on to the next point. Okay, we'll go to the next comment because Gavel Payne seems to be saying, I don't know, but I know Gavel says when we hear Gavel, we got to listen, but maybe James Taylor needs a hug from me. Well, that would be a great idea. Zilla, excellent idea. You should
What I
hug
want to
James
know
Taylor.
is Zilla still a Jason Storm fan? Because I know she loves Cash Carter, but with
We
the
can
new
find that
fresh
out. That's a
attitude
good
from
question. We've
Jason
got a few more
Storm,
comments.
what
It's
are
a
your
good comment.
thoughts, Zilla?
That's a great question. We can certainly get to that. And Zilla says she has a little respect for him, but we want to make sure Jason gets a little bit more respect on TikTok. So please give him a follow. Absolutely. And speaking of people that will be here next Monday and be celebrating with us, brothers and sisters, rejoice. The prophet Jordan Crowley has arrived on Sportswire. He has certainly arrived.
I knew I smelled bullshit, and there it is. There it is.
He's been here a couple times, and he's going to be here for a solo spot on the 8th, and he's going to go over the Winter Clash card with us, and he's going to talk about his thoughts on everything, and he's going to tell us what will happen.
I'm sure he'll have some fun things to say about me if that comes up, considering Omen said I'm a traitor as well. I'm sure
He'll probably bring you up.
Mr.
He's going to bring
Crawley
everybody
thinks
up.
the
I mean,
same.
Jordan is going to bring everybody up. It's how he feels, and we want to certainly give Jordan that opportunity. We appreciate Jordan coming on, and he's going to have a lot to say. I mean, he's definitely opinionated. There's definitely very few like him. He's a great commentator. I mean, some people don't like his maybe who he sides with in the IMF, but hey, it's his. He knows what he's doing.
I
For
will
him,
say, in terms of commentary, watching matches back,
he's good. He's real. I love watching him on
He
commentary.
makes it fun.
He's one of the best. I mean, I say he's like watching a football game with him. And, I'm going to certainly, I'm sure, hear some of this next Monday. And I'm excited for it. And, yes, hello there. And a prestige title match would be good. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I want to give you something because this is going to be a great segue to transit to the rest of the show for ROW because I want to really talk about ROW in a minute. But I do have something for it. I know you're going to say, I don't earn it. I don't deserve it. You always said it every time you're on here, but I want to do it because this time I can put you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame as the Outlaw. Because I figure 2026, you'll do something big. You'll go out there and have some big matches. You'll win some. Maybe you'll lose some. I have no idea. I don't keep track. But I'm putting you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame again. This time as the Outlaw.
Well, I'll say, like you said, I'll just say I appreciate it, Tom. I don't know how many times I've been inducted into the Sports.
I think both. Your IMF, ROEW, you have yourself natural selection. So now this would mean 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4, 5. 5 times.
I'm gonna start putting that in my list of accolades, Tom. I'm gonna give you a
Hall of
rub.
Famer. 5 times.
I mean, it's a big deal, especially getting in multiple times. I appreciate it. Is all I can say. I'm not gonna say
world champion.
I do deserve it or don't deserve it.
No, you deserve it. You definitely deserve it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
We definitely deserve to have you back on Sports. But we love having you on here. We'll give you the physical copy when we're off the air. And, Jordan wanted to say that storm is nothing more than a tropical depression. Well, that season ended at the end of October.
Oh man! I knew he had something to say, but I was hoping he would wait till his episode. But
no, he's ready.
Crawley,
he's he and I were speaking about that. He's very, very excited.
And talks. So I shouldn't be surprised.
Well, he actually made Anthony Steele quiet on here one episode. He did.
Well, I'll say it takes a lot to make me quiet. I've come into a shell of my own, so good luck if that's his goal with me, but probably not.
Nah, listen, Jordan, I think Jordan deep down is obviously a man that has his opinions, and he'll give them undoubtedly coming up. But, okay, it's time now to talk about ROEW because we have CJ Black coming on here Thursday night. He is back on Sportswire. He's going to talk about, obviously, what happened between him and Cash Carter. You're going to be a big topic of that undoubtedly, but it's now time to talk ROEW now that you have your job back. It was certainly not an easy road for you, but how does it feel to have your job back in ROEW going into 2026?
It means the world to me, honestly. ROEW, since the reboot, is something I've put a great deal of work and effort into. Like I mentioned earlier, not only IMF but ROEW. You know, I've, I've sacrificed a lot of time away from my family, even though ROEW is a short trip up the road. Hours out there, uh, in the ring, getting beat up, putting my body on the line for ROEW. And earlier in the year, I had to walk away to prove a point, if you will, in terms of there needed to be change in ROEW. And maybe that was a misstep, I'll say, because ROEW took a downturn when I left. And I feel like a lot of fans turned their back on ROEW, which wasn't my point. It was one man I had a problem with at the time, CJ Black. But another example of what goes around comes around, which I'm sure we'll get into more. It seems like he's gotten his comeuppance since. I bleed those four letters more than anything else. I would say if anywhere I've been, ROEW is my home and IMF is my home away from home. And those places are like my top priority in wrestling right now. And the sky's the limit for what's to come in ROEW for me. I think Cash won the ROEW championship from me, and it was a little circumstantial on how that happened. And I'll say Cash is a phenomenal in-ring worker. Cash Carter is a far more agile, and he's quicker than I am, but I can hit pretty hard. So hopefully at the beginning of the year, when ROEW, when the snow melts, if you will, we can get out there and see who the better man is one-on-one in a fair rematch, because he has something that I believe that I own. And there's a blemish on my career because of everything that happened, because I was supposed to be the first man to hold the ROEW championship for a year, and I was 1 month shy of that because of Final Say, because of CJ Black, and ultimately the man that pinned my shoulders to the mat, Cash Carter. So, but it does mean the world to be back, and I think I have a lot to make up for, because I was gone for almost 3 months, 2 to 3 months. So
Yeah, a couple
there's a
months.
lot of catching up to do once the tides turn and ROEW is back to running again, when the weather takes a turn for the
Now,
better,
I'm
of
really
course.
depressed about that. Here in New York, we're now officially going into winter because now I'm in a coat here in the Sportswire studios, and it's made me think, boy, it's going to be a long next couple of months, and I'm sure it's going to be longer for you. But, let me ask you this question, because the ROEW landscape has changed now dramatically, and I'm sure
Yeah.
CJ's going to get into that Thursday night. But we now know that CJ's in-ring career is over. You mentioned Cash Carter. He's the ROEW world champion. And we've also got now an ROEW Prestige champion and Johnny Velocity, who had a lot to say last, and obviously a lot of people heard what he had to say. And then there's also guys like Kyle Kaplan, who was the All Wrestling Matters champion, and he certainly has done a few things out there, and I think he's come a long way out there. He's gotten himself into great shape, and he put on a really good match out there with Johnny Velocity at anniversary right before your match. And then, there's Jacob Collins out there. I mean, so what is your thoughts now on this new ROEW landscape going into 2026?
I'll say it's definitely going to be an interesting one, because we started the year with natural selection with Alex Cross. Jacob Collins made his return this year. Plenty of stuff. Kron / Velocity now made his return after a almost career-ending injury, I would say, that he
Oh
got
my
outside
God,
of
we were talking about
wrestling.
that last night. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's even out wrestling still, it's just almost a miracle.
And we got, obviously, the man that I beat at ROEW Anniversary, Matthew Forsaken, who I'm sure, no doubt, we haven't seen the last of. It's not like I put him down for good. So I'm
I gotta
curious
tell
to
you what,
see.
he's the most intriguing guy I always find in the underground because he doesn't say anything. He's just cold. He's cunning, and he's just one of these guys. I mean, you just wrestled him. We just saw your match. We know what he's done with Cash Carter, obviously, famously. We know his history with Johnny Velocity. Even CJ just wrestled him. I mean, he's, I think, the most dangerous guy out there in ROEW.
I might agree with you, honestly. I mean, I may have got the better hand at Anniversary, but me and him are really 1-1 because he beat me in EWA previously. So I look, if he catches you with that 10-28, it's no joke. It hurts. Like I said, this isn't fake.
And look
It's
at what he
not
did to
ballet.
Cash last year. He buried him once upon a time. I mean,
He just buried Joe Stone recently too. Uh,
well,
it's I'm just hopefully I'm out of his crosshairs and I'm out of his way. I don't really want to have any long-term issues with Matthew Forsaken because, I don't
we're all
respect what
forsaken
he
famously
does.
when he's out there. We're all forsaken.
Yeah, I don't respect his attitude and, I don't respect his trying to rewrite the book of Matthew as he calls it and all this other stuff, but what I will say is I definitely don't want to fight him all year next year. So hopefully he takes his loss and he tries a hard reset like I'm doing and he'll find success away from me in ROEW and EWA or wherever else he pops up.
Yeah. EWA is obviously a part of their company. He's wrestling there, which we'll talk about next Saturday against Kenny Collins for their championship. But, there was something that I wanted to bring up to you because, Johnny was here and Johnny had a comment a few minutes ago in that ROEW Prestige Championship. I know that people wouldn't think, oh, Jason Storm, the Outlaw, the ROEW Prestige Championship. And I know you've talked a lot about tonight doing things on your own. And I know that that's of an importance to you, but what would you think about that maybe opportunity? Because, in many ways, Johnny talked about he would like a shot at that ROEW championship. And he felt because of his history with Cash that he should be the next in line. But yet you're the guy that's, arguably held the ROEW championship longer than anybody has since this reboot. So, I ask you that, would you want a shot at Johnny Velocity and at ROEW Prestige Championship next year?
I'll say this: previously, with a different attitude, I swore off wrestling for the Prestige Championship ever. I said it was beneath me, but man, seeing how good it looks on Johnny's shoulders, I just can't help but think that maybe it would look a little better on mine. And I
Hmm.
think he's right in the comment he made that I haven't pinned him in a fair manner ever. So I think I have something to prove in terms of not only the prestige match in itself is a different style than what I'm accustomed to because I'm more of a striker, ground and pound, beat you up, talk my shit to you while I'm doing it. And to be a good prestige champion and a good prestige division wrestler in itself, you have to have your technical wits. You have to refrain from punching people in the face. You have to, uh, realize that you can lose your championship on a disqualification. You can lose your championship on a countout, which, you know, particularly with me, I've put myself in the situation where I could have been disqualified many, 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 many times before. So I think it'll be interesting if me and Mr. Johnny Velocity lock horns for that prestige championship. I'll
And
say
what
that.
was your thoughts on the ROEW awards? Obviously, we know that the voting has gone on, and a lot of people have voted for that. And what was your impressions on that so far?
I'll say this. I have a lot of support behind me, and the numbers will say what they are. But at the end of the day, if I had a vote and I had a hat in the ring on who is wrestler of the year or any of the sorts, it would be Johnny Velocity because, like I said, the dude came back from he's been through so much outside of the ring. He's had previous health issues before last year, and he still shows up, still is determined, and at his age, he moves better than I am.
Oh, he looks
He's more
great out.
agile than I am, and I know he
But right now,
says,
you're the wrestler of the year. Right now, the vote would say Jason Storms in the lead resoundingly, despite everything you've said about your
Yeah,
year so far. I mean, how do you
I
feel
don't,
about that?
I don't know if that's deserved in terms of what I've done this year, but like I said, I have a lot of support behind me, and uh, I don't know if that's official or not. I know I
I'm no,
thought I
we. I
saw
mean, I just we know that I don't
I
think they've made a post on Instagram, but as of right now, at the moment, you're in the lead for wrestler of the year and moment of the year. I mean,
well, I will say
despite
this
everything you've said, you're in the
in terms
lead.
of
I mean,
moment of the year, every time Natural Selection stepped into the ROEW arena, we made an impact, and I think that speaks for itself with that. But I think in terms of wrestler of the year, maybe I take it home, maybe I don't. But if I had to vote, if I had to say, Johnny, if you're still watching,
oh, he's here
you're my
right now
pick.
in the chat. No, Johnny's definitely here. You have a
You're
lot of people
you're
here.
definitely my pick, and I think you've earned a lot. And being prestige champion right now, that's kind of the culmination of everything you've been through. And like you say, you've never won singles gold outside of you've been a tag champ before, you've been whatever, but I, I know you're trying to hang it up in 2026, but
I
just
was going
know
to
that
ask you about that next. Now, we had a long conversation about that last night, and I threw your name out there as one of those potential opponents between Johnny, and there was a whole list of names. Obviously, we know CJ and Johnny had a 7-star match, but we know CJ's career has come to an end. Cash Carter was a natural selection. And I throw you out there as well because of your history in the multiple companies you and Johnny have gone out and competed in. I mean, is that something you would want to be his final opponent in July? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it would be an honor to be Mr. Velocity's final opponent. Whether I'm his final opponent or not,
There's a
I
long
will
list of
say
people.
this.
Drago was
Yeah,
petitioning for it. I mean,
before
Omen and
the
Soldier have a right for it. Sean Jovi was here last night. It seemed like he was interested. I mean,
before all is said and done with Mr. Velocity, there is going to be a bounty on his head that the outlaw is looking to collect. And
oh,
one way or another, we are going to stand across a square circle together. And I don't make promises I don't keep. So whatever I have to do, morally sound, of course, next year, I'm going to put myself in a position to either be his last opponent or be a contender for prestige championship in ROEW, whatever the case may be, Tom. We've wrestled before under
yep.
his previous name. I've cheated. I've beat him up. I've done all this, so I'm sure he wants to get
That's how
at least a
yeah.
little lick back at me, or see what I can do when I'm not
But I
cheating
think
and I'm
you
not.
being, I think you're there again. I don't know who's going to be the final opponent. Jovi did kind of throw it out there. Maybe we should have a tournament. I don't know how you do that logistically, but I think you would definitely be in the discussion to be Johnny's final opponent. I don't know who it's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to lay claim to that with the history that he's had the last few years. But I mean, it's coming up in just over 6-7 months. I mean,
I would say in terms of, I'll say this, and it's no disrespect to anybody else that's thrown their name in the hat, but in terms of the last year and a half, 2 years, if anybody has a stake in the claim, it's me over everybody else. So you're gonna have to try to tear me down and take me out if you want to not see me be Mr. Velocity's final opponent, because that's something, whether win, lose, or draw, to have that accolade under my career before he hangs it up. That's something that it's sought after for sure, and I'm looking forward to that. Uh, I wish I know age and everything else he's got going on, but man, like, I feel like the underground professional wrestling scene is going to take a huge hit when he is gone.
yeah,
And if I can,
he's such an integral part of, I feel, the community. You talk about the community, right? And he's one of those guys. I'll break the fourth wall in a minute. It's guys like him, guys like Sean Jovi that are so ingrained in the community, and you wonder if it wasn't for these guys, where we'd be, because these guys keep things together. These are the guys that are pillars of the community. I mean, that's just, to me, it will be a tough loss. But he explained, I went through a lot of health issues. We know about the C word. We know about the injury late last year. And I mean, look, I mean, it's what it is, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, Johnny, I will be your Huckleberry. If I'm your swan song, whatever we got to do to make that happen, just know it'll be the best damn Jason Storm match you've had yet. Maybe even the best match you've had yet. I don't know because I haven't hit 7 stars, and you have with Mr. CJ Black. So I'll give you props. You are one of the best, and you are a pillar to this community. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for people like Jovi, Kron, Delta, uh, even Aaron Blaze, the list goes on. There would be no Jason Storm. So I got to give my credits where credits are due because, like I said before, I showed up to this game later than a lot of people, older than a lot of people. I'm not James Taylor or Kron age, but I'm pushing 30. I'm getting towards 30, and a lot of these guys I'm meeting early 20s.
No, I
When I
get
met
that. I mean,
Blaze,
look,
I think he
compared to
was
an Aaron
18.
Blaze, you're a lot
So,
younger. No, I understand that point. I understand that point that you're
but
younger, you know.
I will say that it's no gimmick that I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life. I'm in the gym at least trying to push for 5 days a week. So
I saw on
whatever
TikTok.
happens
I mean, I've been
over this
following you
winter,
on TikTok. Yeah.
you guys are looking at a Jason Storm that you have never seen before next year, no matter what it is. So whoever steps in the ring with me, be ready because you guys have seen me at my worst, and I see videos of me now on like ROEW, and I cringe like, damn, I was that big, and I'll be so honest, I was pushing 300 pounds at my heaviest, and still trying to move in the ring like but next year I'm going to be training during this off season, if you will. So I
No,
mean,
I think it's good
it's
to
going to
reset.
be.
I think a reset's good sometimes. People need that sometimes. When you make a good point. Sometimes when you take a step back, it allows you to maybe work on things that in wrestling, one of the things that's so unfortunate sometimes that we don't have an off season. So it's good that you're taking that off season and using that. You know, Johnny spoke about it also on. I know he's in action next week. I know obviously your situation is what it is, and we'll obviously focus more about that when the time comes. But I think that there's no question that it's good to have a reset. It's good to go out there and focus on yourself and then come back because it's mental health month. It's men's mental health month here in the month of November, and the Tribal Cheese, who's here Wednesday, he quit wrestling. He was wrestling, in a match, and he decided I can't do it anymore. And there are people that go through that. So I mean, that's what's very big of you to admit. Let me get to some comments before I ask you a few things. Yes, definitely on TikTok, I have seen that. And Soldier did want to give a tip and the nod to you. It was very nice of Soldier, who I know is not going to be in a mood next week on Sportswire when Omen Block talks about him, probably, but he'll at least for now give you a kind word. Thank you for that, Soldier. We love seeing Soldier out there, and he'll be a big topic soon. And also, you have a big fan. You have a big fan. You have a big fan. You have a lot of people tuned in tonight, though. I do want to point that you did get a lot of people tuned in. I just want to point that out. But
I
you
love
did
it.
say. You do. You get people tune in. They hear you. I'm tuning in. We'll meet face to face, 1-on-1 before I'm done. And he did say that you have a great argument. You have a great argument. You definitely do it. You did earn it. I mean, listen, you could say what you want about your year in ROBW, but natural selection, holding the world title as long as you did, looking at what you did in running the company, look what you did for Alex Cross, Cash Carter, what you did with CJ back and forth this year. I mean, you were in his head. He didn't want to face you for a time. I mean, CJ wanted remember that? He wanted no part of you for months. What you did, to Kyle Shelby at the time, what you did to him famously, that was an attack that a lot of people, looked at. Forsaken wanted no part of you for a long time. So, I mean, if you look at the body of work that you did have in ROBW, I mean, you're probably worthy of Wrestler of the Year.
I'll say this too, not even to pat myself on the back too much, but if you look at natural selection and what it was in terms of Alex Cross before he joined natural selection, and I know he's kind of gone now or on a break, whatever he's doing, but
Oh, no.
people thought he was a complete joke before natural selection, and I think I built Alex to something that people at least respected a little bit. And not to say that Cash Carter, C Money at the time, wasn't a great in ring wrestler, but in terms of the C Money character, there was kind of nothing there. It was kind of relics of the old ROEW, him and CJ in the backyard. And I think I took Cash and elevated both of those men a little bit and put him into contendership to where he is now, to where, I mean, last year, yeah, he won the Prestige tournament. He was doing all that, but he wasn't in the world title picture at all. And now he's walking around with the strap. So, he outbeat the master in that terms. But I would say, in terms of like giving back and trying to elevate people, like, I put my all into that, and I hope, at least those guys can see at the end of the day that I did that for them, natural selection. It was for me too. It was to keep me guarded and keep me safe and keep me champion. But at the end of the day, it was a brotherhood. And I think, maybe one day we'll see a reunion. Who knows?
I think the door is open. No, I'm with you. I think, listen, Alex had come a long way. He was in great shape. He was definitely, he had the DKW championship. I mean, or you had called it for once upon a time the ROEW Midwestern Championship. There was obviously a famous debate here. So I remembered. Listen, ROEW, when ROEW comes on, I make sure, listen, it's ROEW, IMF, EWA, certain companies that I make sure I watch everything. TF Crew, obviously our friends, obviously BTW, YBW. I make sure to watch it all. I mean, I don't want to miss a beat. I mean, we don't want to miss a beat there. And, Alex Cross did pin once upon a time that individual Dark Kron. And you know what? You might be Feud of the Year with Soldier. It was personal. I mean, it might be something I could consider at the end of for my awards. I don't know if it's going to be ROEWs because it did kind of transcend two companies. I'd have to, I don't want to get in the middle of that. I don't want to.
I will say, shout out to Soldier for all that.
Yes.
I mean, not going to peel the curtain back too much on that because I don't know how much the IMF crew would appreciate that. But what I will just say is that I couldn't have done that with anyone else. And I mean, that was probably one of the wrestling storylines that when I'm done doing this and when I look back on my time, like that was gold to me. And people say what they will about Soulja, and they say, a Soulja GP match is a lot of striking and a lot of this, but wrestling is about the story. It's not about championships all the time. It's not about who's the best technician. It's about who can tell the best story. And in terms of me and Soulja, we pulled off that to a T in that regard. So I mean, Feud of the Year for sure, I would say.
Well, I'm sure we could give you both the award of Sports. I mean, I can't draft it up in front of me, but we have 30-something days, so we can figure it out. I'm sure we could. I'm sure you'll wait a few days. I'm sure you'll accept it, and I'm sure Soldier will be okay with it too. And it was a great feud. And but obviously, look, you've come to your senses, it seems, and Dilla has respect for you, and we certainly do. And obviously, we're going to certainly see you out there. I know, obviously, maybe we'll see you in other places, and EWA may be coming up. Obviously, DJ Storm I know is out there. We'll have to certainly see. They'll be here next Saturday. Maybe you'll figure that out then and such. And I'm also listening, before we get to final words here, listening to this man pucker up to the proverbial backside of the fans makes me sick. Jordan is definitely warming up for next Monday. I know you'll want no part of that, but he's warming up. Obviously.
I'll be watching is all I can say. I'll be curious to
Okay, well, all right. So before we sign off, obviously CJ Black, as a reminder, will be here between 8:30 and 9 on Thursday. And another guy has not been on Sportswire in a while, and he's going to talk a lot about his in-ring career ending. He's going to talk about ROEW. He's going to talk about a few different things on his plate. Obviously, Johnny did praise him. He's had some great work, and we're going to certainly miss his in-ring abilities, and we'll talk more about CJ's future then on Thursday. But, I mean, anything else you want to say or plug or promote before we get to closing thoughts tonight?
So you did say like men's mental health month. So
yes.
Before final thoughts, I just want y'all to know, this is outside of wrestling, like just kind of off the cuff. But I one that struggles with severe depression a lot. So if you're struggling, if you're watching this behind the scenes and you need somebody to talk to, my line's always open. I'm a busy guy, but I always make time for a little message. I know Soulja and some friends over there like phone calls. I don't do phone calls. It's nothing against you guys. It's just I'm too busy for it. I don't even like talking on the phone with my wife. She could kind of hate me for that. But
you know what? I got to be honest with you.
I'm
Every
just a
time I get a
texter.
phone call, I'm with you. I got to be honest. I have 5,000 phone numbers. If I get a phone call, I almost have a heart attack. I
Yeah,
really,
I get
you know,
so I don't know.
I'm
It's
in
just like
politics. Let me tell you, I'm in politics, and I get a
because
heart attack every time.
I guess texting like I can get to it, in a couple minutes. I can get to it in an hour.
Yeah,
But like if you're
exactly,
trying to call
exactly.
me, it's like I have to like stop what I'm doing, make time. But I'm always there if y'all just want to talk, if you want to vent, whatever it is. If you want
Yeah.
to tell me I suck, it's cool. But
Don't
I
do
deal
that.
with a lot of that, behind the scenes as well. And I think a lot of what I aim to do in wrestling, is to, be a betterment for not only myself, but for the community. This is probably one of the most positive things I've ever done in terms of like, it would be a whole nother episode, but just to make a long story short, I used to be a drug addict. I used to, basically be a scumbag in real life. I've done so many bad things to so many people. I've hurt my own family. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, is what I'll say, and it's not easy.
No.
Feelings come and go, but just remember that the spot you're in today, you'll be amazed in 5 years of like, wow, I never, at one point in time, to be completely honest, I didn't even think I would be alive at 28. So, to be here now and to be able to send that message, and I hope, people take that to heart. I mean that. Like, if you're struggling and you need somebody to talk to, let me know.
I always
I'm
offer
not
my
gonna air
line
you
through
out.
instant message. My line's always open of connection. If people want to talk on Messenger or on Instagram, I'm always open minded. There's the door, here on this platform, with a few exceptions is really always open. I mean, we're always open to anybody, and we want that. We want to also say it's big of you to admit some of those things. Well, so we want to thank you because without people like yourself coming on and ROEW, all the wrestlers, IMF, and everybody else, we wouldn't have had these people that have come on here of late, and they want to be on. It's not like people pay to have these wrestlers or musicians come on. No, they say no. We want to come on. We want to talk, and that's because of people like yourself, CJ, certainly Johnny, Soldier, if he's out there still, and I'm gonna say James Taylor's name still. Anthony Steele, Omen, Justin Parsec, I could say his name still, I think, right? But the point is that really because of everybody else. That's why Sean Jovi, I want to give him a big shout out. I mean, everybody, I think it's a good of you to say those because we are a community at the end of the day. We're all on the same team, so it's great to see you being here in the EWA gang. And I know obviously Carlos Jackson, he's going to wreck you on December 7th. I'm sure you'll certainly figure that out coming next week.
We'll
Obviously
see.
they're making sure. Yeah, there you go. You will certainly see, and Hubie and the gang will be on here, and we'll have the Cleveland Wrecking Crew next Saturday. But no, I think that certainly we're all here on the same team, and I'm glad that you have given us that message. And it is the holidays, and thank you, Johnny, for saying this. And we're happy you're here. We're all happy about being on the community, and everybody's on the same team. And thank you, Soldier, for the kind words. And Johnny really praised Soldier yesterday, which I agree. Every IMF show I do donate a ticket. Every show I like to support the gang because so many of them really. I'm glad you said that about a lot of the lock. There's a lot of great guys that come on here, a lot of them, and I talk to them off the air. So many of them, and they're really, really good people. And the ROBW goes about saying, I'm going to shout out Kyle Kaplan. I am going to shout out because he has also put some work in. I do want to give him praise. I know he may say things
Kyle's
like
a good dude.
he
I'll
does.
say
He's
that.
trying.
He's a
He's
good
he's
dude.
lost a lot of weight. He had a good match with Johnny, and I want to give him some praise. I want to praise Cash Card. I want to praise everybody that comes on here. And yeah, we got that. Thank you, Jordan, and yes, thank you, Carlos. He'll see you. And too big. No, he didn't say that. And obviously they're getting ready for you. They're definitely getting ready for you. And all right, we've got the point. You're a busy man. We'll hopefully see you again here on Sportswire. Yes, Kyle is a good guy. Thank you for that. I always wanted to try to refrain from some of that because I've known Kyle and I think he's put a lot of work in. I'm glad guys like him are getting that shot. But
One more person I'm going to plug before we get to closing
sure.
thoughts. I know he gets so much shit, and I know we talked about it already in the episode, but Soldier GP, genuine dude. I know a
Yes.
lot of people think he's doing all this wrestling shit and IMF, and it's for the betterment of
He's
him,
attended
but
some training sessions, by the way. I
so,
want to give him a big plug. He attended
so
one
many
session.
people, including myself, would not be where they're at if it wasn't for Soldier. And I know people have their opinions on IMF booking or where Soldier's at on the card or whatever the case may be. But that dude is one of the only people, pays me way more than what I'm worth to come out to IMF because he knows how much it is to travel and expects nothing in return other than go out there and give it whatever I can.
And he's given a
You
lot of
know,
guys here on this platform that shot. I think of Sean Jovi. I think of Nicholas Crenson. I think of
I'm
Ricky
just,
Romero.
maybe he'll be mad that I broke the fourth wall a little bit. That guy, like, he gets so much shit that he does not deserve. He takes care of so many of these guys in so many ways. And he's a little hard on people sometimes behind the scenes, but that's because he's trying to build a legit wrestling company. And that's why I keep, I want to be in IMF as much as I can. I wish I didn't live so far away so I could be there every month and help him build that every month. But whatever, I just want to tell everyone, whatever your opinions on Soldier, you're wrong. I'll say it straight up, you're wrong. That's a good dude right there. So that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say on
absolutely.
that.
You know what? And we want to give everybody, opportunity. And Soldier's done that. And I love the IMF crew, and they've been here since, for 3 years. And I like seeing that they're in venues. They're increasing. The numbers are up. The new
IMF is
talent.
growing.
And how
IMF
about
is
the pro
growing.
wrestlers? Rory Fox, Damian Saint. I mean, we look at,
I would have
I'm going
never
to
met any of those guys. I wouldn't have met Damien. I just met Rory this
Rory's a
past
legend,
show
by
I
the
was
way.
at.
Rory's a big, big, big name. I
Yeah.
remember watching him
I
on.
did a little bit of research on him after, like, right before and after, also, and he's done a lot of cool stuff in wrestling, and it was cool. He was wrestling Damien, so I didn't talk to him much. Trying to be respectful. He's planning his match with Damien and whatnot, but that's a good dude. Damien showed me praise before behind the scenes and told me, keep up with my character work and all that stuff. And I try to take everything that these fully trained professional wrestlers tell me to heart and just, put forth my all. And even Steele, who came on and said that I need to lay in a little more. I try to
Yes, he
take his
said that
advice.
famously about you on an episode. Yep, he did mention that. Good
He
point.
did, and I think Steele, like, people think he's an asshole in real life because he plays his character so well, but
He's helped a
he's
lot
a
of people.
genuine guy.
Steele, listen, I always like Steele. I wish, he does say things, but he's a fantastic talent. He's what you see is what you get from guys like him, and he loves this sport, which you got to give
He does,
him
yeah.
a lot of
And I
credit
mean,
for.
behind the scenes, he showed me nothing but love and respect. And
Yeah, he's a good dude. No,
he's
Steele
one that
is okay.
we'll take jabs at each other for sure all day. But at the end of the day, he's there to help. He's there to make IMF better also. And
He has no.
that's
Steele
what this
is.
entire community needs. Like, kind of like what I was saying earlier. That's what all these companies need. So I hope we
Yes,
see more of
thank
that in
you for doing
2026.
that tonight. Thank you very much for doing that. And yes, Soldier is a good man. We like Soldier. We like it. We wish the family situation was a little different, but obviously, I think I know who this person is, and I definitely know this person. But they want to say hello to you. It's so kind and to see you. And I'm sure this person that's here will be here Thursday night when CJ comes on here because he don't come here often. He's got a lot to say, and I'm excited about that. But we're certainly excited to have had you on here again. I want to pass the baton to you for some final thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours.
As always, if you're not following Instagram and TikTok, jason.storm.byw, like Tom promoted earlier, but just get ready for what's to come because, like I said, it's no gimmick that I'm working out. I'm trying to get, in shape, and I'm going to be trying to get, as much knowledge about wrestling and in-ring work and character work as I can. And I want to throw the challenge out to everybody in 2026. Let's bridge the gap further from professional wrestling and underground wrestling. And that's just not in IMF, but it's everywhere. Like, let's show, underground wrestling has a stigma to where it's, lazy, fat people, untrained, not willing to learn. And to an extent, I've played a part in that. But I think if you want to do this and if you ever want to make money doing this, you need to get serious. You need to train, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in the ring, all of the above. So I'm going to say someone behind the scenes in ROEW put out the challenge to all the people that during the off season, let's all train and get in shape and actually look the part of wrestlers and be wrestlers and take the character work seriously and, I challenge anyone, if you want to hit the gym with me, if you're in Michigan, whatever the case is, let's do it. If you need help with promos, if you need help with character work, I'm not going to say I'm the best, but that's what I get praised for. Behind the scenes, everybody has great things to say about my promos, great things to say about my character work. And if you want to help, if you want me to help you grow or you want to help me grow, the line is open. I'm all for that because in 2026, I want us all to succeed. I want to see wrestling become bigger than it already is. I know it's exploding again. It's becoming like popular again. I remember being a fan in the time where it was like you were a nerd if you liked wrestling, or it was like you were an idiot if you liked wrestling. I'm not going to use certain
Yeah.
terms people called me back in the day, but you can fill in the blanks. But I just want y'all to know, like, Jason Storm ain't going anywhere in 2026. I'm going to be working behind the scenes in the ring, in the gym, whatever it is. So you're going to see something you haven't seen yet, and I'm looking forward to putting on great matches with everybody that wants to step up and wants to see what I'm all about. That's pretty much it, Tom. I'm looking looking to the future, and I'm looking to become a better wrestler, become a better man, become a better father, and I think it starts with kind of the moral turn that I've taken in wrestling, and I think that's going to be great for me and great for everybody around me in wrestling. And I'm just hoping that more people follow suit.
No, you know what? The best is yet to come. I have no doubt you're going to do those things. And if you'd like to follow Jason Storm, he is also on Instagram. Please go out there and follow him. Also, hello to Nickelodeon fan. I didn't watch War Games. I don't have Peacock, but I'm glad you're here.
I think it's ESPN now.
It's Peacock. Well,
that's why I wasn't watching it because I'm not.
I'm taking Raven's line. Raven said he don't watch wrestling on Sportswire yesterday, so I think Raven gave me a pass. But that's okay. I will be there with bells on his. I liked you. I always liked you, and now I like you even further. Hit the sub button for the EWA. They've been generous, and Johnny's representing the company. He's their eternal champion. And thank you, Nickelodeon fan. And Zilla had one more comment. You're welcome, Soldier. Yes, we're gonna give Soldier some praise. Let's give everybody praise. I'm glad that we did that, and we'll give you this physical copy when we are off the air. And my friend, I want to thank you as always. Hope you have a happy holiday. Also, Gabe said, yes, Gabe Sayers is a good guy. Gabe is a very good friend. Yes, thank you about Gabe. Gabe is a good man.
Guy. Met him.
I spoke to Gabe. I met
Gabe. He's great.
You don't got to sell me on Gabe. I met the guy in person. Gabe is a top-notch dude.
You did. I remember the picture.
Hey, Gabe's a good guy. Now, Gabe, I spoke to Gabe the other day. Gabe, we want to plug Gabe, and we want to thank him and thank everybody else. And that is the Outlaw, Jason Storm, who is rather not Outlaw-like, but he sort of is Outlaw-like, but he's got a lot to say about his 2025. He very well might be the ROEW Wrestler of the Year. He also might be part of the ROEW Moment of the Year, and whether he likes it or not, he may win those awards. And he's also a part of the IMF, and he talked about his dramatic turn of events there at the end of his match early on in the show against Soldier GP at Dirty Deeds, and no more Dirty Deeds, and they're not done dirt cheap. And he'll be certainly out there in 2026, and he's once again in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and he is always one of those guys that people listen to, and he got the views. I'll tell you that much. He's definitely must-see TV as Jason Storm, and he knows his worth, and whether you agree with some of the things or not, he's definitely that, and we're very happy, though, most importantly, that he has turned his life around, and that's what's most important, because a rising tide is always going to lift all boats, and he has done that, and God bless him and his wonderful family, and the not-so-good guy, the Outlaw Jason Storm. Well, I think we've got a lot to say, and I have to go on twice tomorrow, and we've done twice today and twice yesterday. So, Jason, congratulations on all the success. I know you may not agree with some of it, but you still had it, and we'll see you, I'm sure, in 2026, and the best is yet to come, and happy holidays, and we'll see you soon.
Likewise, and thank you for having me as always. I know
you got it.
And the appreciation, but hey, I appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate you. That is the Outlaw Jason Storm, and he never fails to disappoint here on Sportswire Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, with all music and wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, hit the sub button for us, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back here tomorrow with Magnum Carter of YBW around the same time as Jason Storm. We'll be here with some guy from this band called Megadeth named Chris Poland before that. So a lot going on. Yeah, Chris Poland, and I have David Ellefson, who was the founder of the band, the week after that.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, then I have I can't maybe I'll tell you off the air who I have on Thursday. Well, it's
Yeah.
the big one. So that's why we want to keep I keep saying keep the positivity because these guys won't come running
Yeah.
down. So let's leave it at that. You all built the platform. Thank you for your support. And until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one, Global Radio, the Sports by Radio with all music and wrestling matters. See you tomorrow, everybody.